Leg weakness isn't just aging, there may be a hidden cause. We've all heard the saying, it's just part of getting older, especially when it comes to stiffness, joint pain, or feeling a little slower on our feet. But I've started to question that idea. Why is it that some seniors remain active, strong, and mobile into their 70s or 80s, while others begin to struggle getting out of a chair or walking upstairs in their early 60s, even when both groups eat well and stay active? Personally, I believe the explanation goes beyond just aging. There are subtler, more silent factors at play, factors we often overlook because they seem so harmless or even healthy. One of the biggest ones, in my opinion, is diet, and more specifically, the type of fruit we consume regularly. I used to believe that if you exercised, drank enough water, and ate your fruits and veggies, you were doing everything right. But then I started noticing that even after following all the rules, my legs would often feel tired for no good reason. Steps started to feel a little steeper. A simple walk in the park left me more winded than expected. I shrugged it off at first, blaming age, but something didn't sit right. That's when I began digging deeper. What I found surprised me, and honestly, it made me reconsider everything I thought I knew about healthy eating. Many of us don't realize that the body changes as we age in more ways than just wrinkles and gray hair. Our metabolism slows, our blood vessels become more fragile, and our ability to regulate blood sugar and inflammation weakens. These shifts mean that the foods we've eaten our whole lives, including fruits, can start affecting us differently. I always thought fruit was universally good for you, but that's not necessarily true when you're over 60. Certain fruits high in sugar or acid can quietly sabotage your strength, especially in the legs. The harm isn't dramatic or immediate. It creeps in slowly, so subtly that you don't even notice until one day your knees ache after a short walk or you feel an unfamiliar tightness in your calves. What really drives this home for me is how overlooked this idea is in mainstream health advice. We're constantly told to eat more fruit, drink smoothies, and snack on grapes or bananas. But we're not told how aging bodies process these foods differently, and the consequences can be serious. I believe it's time we rethink how we define healthy as we age. It's not just about calories or vitamins anymore, it's about how your body responds to what you put in it at your specific stage in life. So no, I don't think leg weakness is always just aging. In fact, I believe that explanation can sometimes be a lazy excuse that masks a real, preventable issue. By paying more attention to the details, especially our daily fruit choices, we might be able to preserve our leg strength, mobility, and independence much longer than we ever imagined. Some fruits, though healthy for most, may be harmful to seniors over 60. For most of my life, I believed fruit was the ultimate health food, colorful, juicy, natural, and full of vitamins. Like many people, I saw a bowl of fruit as a symbol of a healthy lifestyle. I never thought twice about grabbing a banana or snacking on a handful of grapes. But as I've gotten older, and after personally experiencing persistent leg stiffness and unexpected joint discomfort, I've started to question whether all fruits are really as harmless as they seem, especially for seniors. Here's what I've come to believe: while fruits are generally healthy, not all fruits are suitable for people over 60. In fact, some fruits that are often praised for their health benefits can actually worsen inflammation, trigger blood sugar spikes, and subtly weaken your legs over time. This realization was shocking for me at first. We're taught from childhood that fruit is always good for us. But the truth is, aging changes the way our body reacts to food, and what once helped us stay strong can start doing the opposite if we're not paying attention. Take bananas, for example. They're widely believed to be great for muscle health because they're rich in potassium. But for me, every time I ate one, I noticed my legs felt heavier afterward, and my ankles would swell slightly by the evening. I never connected it to the fruit until I learned that bananas, despite their benefits, are full of natural sugar and fast-digesting carbs. For seniors like me, this can cause blood sugar levels to spike, which leads to inflammation and eventually muscle fatigue. It's not that bananas are bad, it's that they might no longer be the best option for someone with slower metabolism and aging circulation. Another surprising example is grapes. I used to snack on them all the time, especially in the summer. They're small, sweet, and easy to overeat. But I learned that grapes contain high levels of fructose, which can raise uric acid levels and trigger joint pain, especially in the knees and toes. I had often experienced a strange burning sensation in my big toe at night, which I thought was just part of aging, until I reduced my grape intake and the pain started to fade. What I've realized is that fruits are not one size fits all. Age matters. Our bodies become more sensitive, and small details like sugar content, acid levels, and how quickly a fruit digests become more important. What's considered a healthy snack for a 30-year-old could be a hidden trigger for fatigue and stiffness in someone over 60. In my view, we need to start shifting the way we talk about healthy eating for seniors. It's not about avoiding fruit altogether, but about making smarter choices based on our body's current needs. Berries, avocados, and papaya have become staples for me because they support my joints and energy levels without the hidden downsides. So yes, fruits are still a gift from nature, but only if we choose the right ones. At this stage in life, the wrong fruit, eaten regularly, can do more harm than good. And in my experience, knowing the difference can mean the difference between painful, weak legs and strong, mobile ones. Seniors may be eating fruit at the wrong time of day, leading to leg weakness. For most of my life, I never gave much thought to when I ate fruit. Morning, afternoon, or evening, it didn't matter. I assumed fruit was always a healthy choice, no matter the time. But now, after passing the age of 60, I've come to a surprising conclusion. The timing of fruit consumption can make a big difference, especially for older adults like me. In fact, I've noticed that eating fruit at the wrong time, particularly late in the day, has made my legs feel heavier, more swollen, and overall less stable. This might sound strange at first. After all, fruit is natural and full of nutrients. But as I've aged, my digestion has slowed, my blood sugar responses have become more sensitive, and I've started experiencing the subtle effects of what I now believe are poor food timing habits. Through personal trial and error, I've discovered that eating fruit in the evening, especially after dinner, has a noticeable negative effect on my leg strength and joint comfort the next day. There was a time when I enjoyed a small fruit bowl after dinner, a few apple slices, grapes, or even a mango. It felt like a light, healthy dessert. But I began waking up with a strange stiffness in my legs. My calves felt tight, and my knees seemed more sensitive when I climbed stairs. At first, I blamed it on aging or a lack of exercise. But when I stopped eating fruit in the evening and started eating it in the morning instead, the difference was remarkable. My legs felt lighter, my morning walks were easier, and I didn't feel as sluggish getting out of bed. I later learned that this may be due to the natural sugars in fruit, which are processed differently at different times of the day. In the evening, our metabolism slows down, and our body becomes less efficient at handling sugar. This can lead to elevated blood sugar levels overnight, which in turn may cause inflammation and water retention. For me, that showed up as mild swelling in my ankles and a tight, uncomfortable feeling in my legs. Since making the switch to eating fruit earlier in the day, usually with breakfast or as a mid-morning snack, I've noticed my energy stays more consistent, and my legs no longer feel like they're dragging. I also find that I sleep better, possibly because my digestion isn't working overtime at night. The positive impact on my mobility alone has been worth the adjustment. What I've learned is that timing really does matter, especially after 60. It's not just what we eat, but when we eat it. For seniors, eating fruit earlier in the day allows our body to burn off the natural sugars and use the energy when we're most active. At night, though, that same fruit can turn into a silent saboteur of good sleep and strong legs. So now, instead of a fruit bowl after dinner, one enjoy a few berries in my morning yogurt or a banana before my mid-morning walk. It's a small change, but it's made a huge difference. For older adults like me, proper timing can turn fruit from a source of discomfort into a true source of strength. Seniors may be eating the wrong type of fruit, contributing to leg weakness. When people think about fruit, the first thought that usually comes to mind is healthy. For most of my life, I believed that any fruit was a good choice, whether it was a banana, pineapple, grapes, or watermelon. However, after turning 60, I started to pay more attention to how different fruits made me feel, especially in my legs. To my surprise, I discovered that not all fruits are equally beneficial for older adults, and some may even be contributing to leg weakness. I began noticing that after eating certain fruits, especially sweet tropical ones like mangoes and bananas, I felt more bloated and tired. My legs, in particular, would feel heavier, sometimes even slightly swollen by the end of the day. At first, I thought it was just the natural aging process or perhaps lack of exercise. But when I paid closer attention to my diet and started tracking what I ate, I realized there was a connection between certain high-sugar fruits and how my legs felt. Through a lot of reading and personal observation, I learned that some fruits have very high glycemic indexes, meaning they spike blood sugar quickly. For seniors like myself, this can be a real issue. As we age, our ability to regulate blood sugar becomes weaker, and sharp spikes can lead to inflammation, fatigue, and even muscle discomfort. This can manifest as weakness in the legs or aching joints. In my case, eating sugary fruits like grapes or watermelon in the afternoon often led to a sudden drop in energy and a heaviness in my thighs and calves. After this realization, I made some changes. I didn't stop eating fruit, I just became more selective. I swapped out high-sugar fruits for those that are lower in sugar and higher in fiber, like berries, apples, with the peel, kiwi, and pears. These fruits give me the vitamins and antioxidants I need without the sugar crash. More importantly, I noticed that my legs felt stronger, especially during my morning walks and when climbing stairs. One of the biggest benefits I've noticed is a greater sense of stability and reduced muscle fatigue. Blueberries and raspberries, in particular, have become staples in my diet. They are not only low in sugar but also rich in antioxidants that support circulation and reduce inflammation, both of which are important for healthy leg function. Of course, everyone is different, and some seniors might not experience these same issues. But based on my personal experience, I strongly believe that choosing the right kind of fruit makes a noticeable difference in how the body feels, especially the legs. When I share this with friends, many of them realize they've had similar symptoms but never thought to link them to fruit. So, to other seniors, fruit is still your friend, but not all fruits are created equal. Choose wisely, and you may be surprised at how much stronger and more energized your legs will feel. A simple change in fruit choices has made a big difference in my daily comfort and overall mobility. Seniors may be lacking a key mineral that affects leg strength. As I've grown older, I've become increasingly aware of how delicate the balance of nutrients in my body can be. What I once took for granted, my ability to walk upstairs, go for long walks, or even stand for long periods, has become something I need to actively maintain. One of the biggest revelations I've had is that a lack of certain minerals, particularly magnesium, can significantly impact leg strength and function in seniors like myself. For a long time, I thought that muscle weakness in my legs was just a normal part of aging. I experienced occasional cramps, fatigue, and a general sense of heaviness in my legs, especially after short walks or standing for a while. I blamed it on aging joints, poor circulation, or maybe not stretching enough. However, during a routine visit, my doctor mentioned that many seniors are deficient in magnesium, and that this deficiency can lead to muscle weakness and cramping, especially in the legs. At first, I was skeptical. Magnesium, I had heard of it, of course, but I never considered it to be important for everyday strength or mobility. But after doing some research and looking into my own diet, I realized I wasn't getting nearly enough of it. Like many people, I assumed that eating a balanced diet meant I was getting all the nutrients I needed. But foods rich in magnesium, like leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and whole grains, were not a big part of my daily meals. So, I decided to take action. I began incorporating more magnesium-rich foods into my diet, and also started taking a low-dose magnesium supplement, as recommended by my doctor. The results were noticeable within a few weeks. The cramping in my calves, which often woke me up at night, decreased significantly. My legs felt more energized during the day, and I had more stamina when walking or doing light exercise. One particularly meaningful moment for me was during a family trip to the beach. I used to struggle with walking in sand. It made my legs feel like they were carrying extra weight. But after improving my magnesium intake, I noticed that my legs felt stronger and more coordinated. It may sound small, but for someone in their 60s trying to stay active, it felt like a major victory. In my opinion, many seniors don't realize how important magnesium is because it's not often discussed unless there's a serious deficiency. But even a mild lack of this mineral can quietly wear down our energy levels and muscle performance. It's not just about preventing cramps, it's about preserving independence and quality of life. If you're over 60 and experiencing unexplained leg weakness, fatigue, or muscle twitches, I strongly recommend checking your magnesium levels. It's a small adjustment that can lead to big improvements in mobility and daily comfort. Personally, I wish I had learned this sooner. Now, I consider magnesium just as important as calcium and vitamin D when it comes to aging well and staying active. Seniors should train for power, not just strength. As I get older, one thing I've come to realize is that maintaining strength alone isn't enough. For years, I focused on lifting light weights, doing stretches, and walking every day, thinking that would be enough to preserve my mobility and independence. While it helped in some ways, I still found myself struggling with things like getting up quickly from a chair, catching myself when I stumbled, or walking upstairs with any sense of ease. That's when I discovered the idea of training for power, not just strength. Power is the ability to exert force quickly. It's not just about how strong you are, it's about how fast you can use that strength. And in real life, that's what we often need as seniors. Whether it's reacting fast enough to stop a fall, stepping off a curb quickly, or reaching out in time to grab something, power matters. I remember one specific incident that really opened my eyes. I was walking with my granddaughter in the park when I tripped on a tree root. I didn't fall, but it was close. My reaction time was slow, and I had to grab onto a bench to steady myself. That moment made me realize that something had to change. I wasn't just lacking strength, I was lacking quickness, the kind that comes from power-based movements. After talking with a physical therapist and doing some research, I started incorporating power exercises into my routine. These weren't high-impact or dangerous movements. Simple things like standing up from a chair as fast as I could, doing step-ups with a little more speed, or throwing a light medicine ball forward. I even started doing fast-paced walking intervals to challenge my body. The difference was almost immediate. Within a few weeks, I noticed I could rise from a chair more easily and climb stairs with better rhythm. But more importantly, I felt more confident in my body's ability to react quickly. That kind of confidence is priceless when you're older and more concerned about falls and injuries. What surprised me most was how little time it took. I didn't have to spend hours at the gym or do anything extreme. Just a few focused movements, a couple of times a week, made a big impact. In my opinion, too many seniors overlook the importance of power training. We're often told to focus on flexibility or light strength training, which are valuable but not complete. As we age, losing muscle mass and reaction speed is inevitable, but training for power can slow that process down, and even reverse some of its effects. If I could give one piece of advice to people over 60, it would be this: don't just try to be strong, try to be quick, too. Life doesn't wait, and neither should your body. Training for power isn't just for athletes, it's for anyone who wants to stay active, independent, and confident as they age. Maintain your mental agility through lifelong learning. As someone who recently entered retirement, I've learned that one of the most important things I can do for myself, aside from staying physically active, is keeping my mind sharp. While I used to think mental decline was just a natural part of aging, I've come to believe that with consistent mental exercise, we can stay cognitively agile far longer than we might expect. And the key to that, at least for me, has been lifelong learning. For decades, I worked in a structured environment where my mind was constantly challenged. But when I stopped working, I noticed my memory wasn't quite as sharp, and I found myself forgetting small things more often. That worried me. I didn't want to slip into mental laziness just because I wasn't in an office anymore. That's when I decided to try something new. I signed up for an online course in psychology, just out of curiosity. What I didn't expect was how much I would love it. Every time I read new material or watched a lecture, I felt energized. My brain started to wake up again. I began reading more books, picking up a bit of Spanish on the side, and even joined a weekly trivia night at my local library. The more I learned, the more I felt like myself again, curious, alert, and engaged. Personally, I believe that mental stimulation is just as important as physical exercise, especially as we age. The brain is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. I've seen some of my friends slowly retreat into passive routines, watching TV for hours, doing the same crossword every morning, and I notice a difference in how they speak and interact over time. They become slower to respond, less curious, less enthusiastic. I don't want that for myself. One of the things that helped me most was embracing technology. I used to be intimidated by smartphones, apps, and the internet. But now I see them as tools for mental engagement. I listened to podcasts, follow online lectures, and even joined a virtual book club with people from all over the world. It's incredible how much knowledge is out there, just waiting to be explored. Lifelong learning doesn't have to mean going back to school or getting a degree. It can be as simple as reading about a topic you're interested in, trying a new hobby, learning a musical instrument, or engaging in meaningful conversations. The point is to stay mentally active and continually challenge your brain in new ways. In my opinion, society underestimates the mental capacity of older adults. We're often treated as though we're no longer capable of deep thinking or complex learning, but that's simply not true. I believe that with the right mindset and a bit of curiosity, we can continue to grow intellectually at any age. So if you're getting older and worried about your mind slowing down, my advice is this: never stop learning. Feed your curiosity, challenge your brain, and keep your mind as young as your spirit. Give back to the community through volunteering. Since retiring a few years ago, one of the most fulfilling decisions I've made was to start volunteering in my local community. I always thought retirement would be about relaxation, long walks, hobbies, and maybe traveling. But I didn't realize how quickly that sense of purpose, the one I had during my working years, would fade. I missed feeling useful. That's when I turned to volunteering, and honestly, it changed everything for me. At first, I started small, helping out at the community center a couple of days a week. It wasn't glamorous, organizing books, assisting with local events, or just chatting with lonely elderly people who came in. But the emotional reward was immediate. I began to feel connected again, not only to others but to myself. I remembered what it felt like to matter. One thing I've noticed is that many older adults underestimate the impact they can still make. We carry decades of experience, wisdom, and empathy. These are valuable assets, especially in community service. I began mentoring young adults at a local youth center, and to my surprise, they actually listened. They appreciated hearing real-life stories and lessons from someone who had been there. The intergenerational exchange gave me a new sense of vitality and perspective. From a personal standpoint, volunteering gave me structure. It gave me a reason to wake up early, to engage with others, and to constantly learn. I met people I would never have crossed paths with otherwise: single mothers, immigrants, young students, and other retirees. I no longer felt isolated or irrelevant. In fact, I felt more alive than I had in years. I also believe that giving back fosters a deeper sense of gratitude. When I volunteered at a food bank, I saw firsthand how many families were struggling to get by. It made me appreciate what I had and pushed me to do more. And the joy in someone's eyes when they receive even a little help, it's humbling and uplifting. In my opinion, society tends to frame aging as a period of decline. But I see it as a new chapter, one where we finally have the time and freedom to contribute meaningfully. You don't need to be rich, famous, or powerful to make a difference. Sometimes, just showing up with a kind heart is enough. Of course, not every day is easy. There are moments when I feel tired or discouraged. But I always remind myself why I started. The fulfillment that comes from giving without expecting anything in return is unlike any other. It has not only kept me active but also emotionally and spiritually balanced. In conclusion, volunteering has added a whole new dimension to my later years. It's more than just doing good, it's about finding purpose, building relationships, and continuing to grow. If you're retired or simply looking for meaning, I strongly encourage you to give your time to a cause you care about. You might just find, as I did, that in helping others, you're also helping yourself. Make travel a part of retirement. Retirement is often imagined as a time to rest, slow down, and stay within the comfort of home. While there is nothing wrong with that, I personally believe that retirement is the perfect time to explore the world. After decades of working, raising children, and fulfilling responsibilities, travel offers a refreshing way to rediscover life, expand perspectives, and enjoy newfound freedom. For me, travel during retirement has become more than just a hobby, it's a way of life. I remember the first trip I took after retiring, a quiet escape to Dalat, a city I had always wanted to visit but never had the time. I was amazed not just by the beauty of the place, but by how travel made me feel. For the first time in years, I was truly present. There were no deadlines, no meetings, no rush. Just fresh air, new faces, and the joy of discovery. Since then, I've made it a personal goal to travel at least 3 times a year, both within Vietnam and abroad. Each trip adds something unique to my life. When I visited Japan, I admired the way elderly people there remained active and respected. It gave me a sense of pride and possibility. When I explored the Mekong Delta, I met farmers and fishermen who shared their simple but happy lifestyles, reminding me of the value of gratitude. Travel isn't just about seeing new places, it's about learning and connecting. I've met fellow retirees from different countries, exchanged stories with locals, and even picked up bits of new languages. These experiences keep my mind sharp and my heart open. They remind me that the world is vast, and there's still so much to learn, no matter your age. One of the biggest fears people have about aging is becoming isolated or stagnant. I truly believe travel helps prevent that. Whether it's a short weekend trip or a month-long journey, it gives you something to look forward to. It pushes you out of your comfort zone in the best way. You walk more, you talk to strangers, you try new foods. These are the little things that keep life exciting. Of course, I understand that travel isn't always easy for everyone. There are health concerns, financial limitations, or family obligations. But I don't think travel has to mean expensive international flights or luxury cruises. Sometimes, just exploring a new province, a nearby national park, or a cultural festival can be just as rewarding. What matters is the spirit of exploration. From my own experience, I've also learned to travel with intention. I no longer rush from place to place trying to check things off a list. Instead, I take my time, immerse myself in local culture, and seek meaningful encounters. Travel in retirement is not about speed, it's about depth. In conclusion, I believe travel is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself in retirement. It brings joy, challenges your thinking, and fills your life with stories. If you've ever dreamed of seeing the world, or even just a part of your country you've never visited, this is the time. As long as your legs can walk and your heart is curious, the journey is always worth it. Stay socially active and connected. As we age, it's easy to withdraw from social circles. The demands of work, family, and everyday life often mean that when we retire, we become more isolated. However, in my opinion, one of the most essential aspects of a fulfilling retirement is staying socially active and connected. Maintaining relationships and engaging with others can significantly impact both our mental and physical health. Personally, I've always valued relationships and friendships. I believe that having a strong support network of friends, family, and even acquaintances is vital to staying happy and healthy as we grow older. In my own experience, staying socially active has been one of the most rewarding aspects of my retirement. It not only helps combat loneliness, but it also gives me a sense of purpose and fulfillment. I try to regularly meet up with old friends, attend social gatherings, and participate in group activities. Whether it's going for a walk with a friend, having coffee with a former colleague, or joining a local book club, these interactions help me stay sharp, positive, and engaged. I've also found that when you surround yourself with good company, it's easier to maintain a positive outlook on life. Conversations with friends, sharing stories, and even just exchanging a laugh can make a huge difference in your day. Moreover, I think that staying socially active offers numerous health benefits, especially as we age. Studies have shown that social engagement can reduce the risk of cognitive decline and improve overall well-being. For example, when I get together with my neighbors or join local events, I feel more connected to the community. This connection reduces feelings of isolation and helps me stay mentally alert. In addition to socializing in person, I've also embraced technology to stay connected with family and friends who live far away. Video calls, social media, and online communities have made it easier than ever to keep in touch. I'm not particularly tech-savvy, but I've learned to use these tools to stay in contact with my children and grandchildren, especially since many of them live abroad. These digital connections are a lifeline that keep me involved in their lives and vice versa. One of the most surprising things I've learned is that it's never too late to make new friends or build new social connections. Joining community clubs, taking up new hobbies, or volunteering are great ways to meet like-minded people. For instance, I recently joined a local gardening group, and I've met several wonderful people who share similar interests. It's amazing how quickly you can bond with others over something as simple as gardening or other activities you enjoy. However, staying socially active also means being proactive in maintaining relationships. It's easy to fall into the trap of staying in your comfort zone, but reaching out to others, making plans, and putting effort into keeping friendships alive requires a conscious decision. In my case, it's something I actively work on and find extremely fulfilling. In conclusion, social connections are a cornerstone of a vibrant and healthy retirement. By staying active, whether it's by meeting friends, participating in group activities, or embracing technology, we can maintain our mental health, reduce loneliness, and enrich our lives. I truly believe that our relationships, whether near or far, are what make life worth living. If you're unsure where to start, I encourage you to reach out to a friend, join a group, or explore new activities. The opportunities are endless, and the benefits are immeasurable.